All right, let's do a cellular respiration overview. The main purpose of cellular respiration is to produce ATP. Aerobic respiration produces a total of 38 ATP, while anaerobic respiration produces a total of 2 ATP. The only 2 ATP made during anaerobic respiration actually occur during glycolysis up here, which you can see that only 2 ATP are made during glycolysis, 0 ATP are made during fermentation. Let's do an overview of the entire process. The fuel of this process is glucose. Glucose is oxidized and broken down during glycolysis, and pyruvic acid is formed. During glycolysis, NADH is formed, and also 2 ATP are formed. Let's now talk about the anaerobic pathway. The anaerobic pathway is when oxygen levels are very low or not present at all. When oxygen is not present, the traditional oxidation reactions that go down the aerobic pathway are not able to take place. So the organism must find an alternate pathway. During the anaerobic respiration pathway, organisms do fermentation. Fermentation can produce lactic acid, which occurs in humans, or fermentation can produce ethyl alcohol, or CO2, which occurs in bacteria and yeast. During fermentation, 0 ATP are made. The main purpose of fermentation is to recycle NAD pluses back so that those NAD pluses can go back to glycolysis and produce NADHs. Now let's talk about the aerobic pathway. When oxygen is present, pyruvic acid is oxidized and broken down during using a different set of reactions. When pyruvic acid is oxidized with oxygen present, you will produce a chemical called acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA is the result of pyruvic acid being oxidized. When that occurs, carbon dioxide is also released as a waste, NADHs are produced, and the coenzyme A is required to react with the pyruvic acid to produce the acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA then gets oxidized some more through the Krebs cycle. During the Krebs cycle, acetyl-CoA is oxidized and broken down, and when this occurs, CO2 is also released as more waste, 2 more ATP are produced during the Krebs cycle, and NADHs and FADH2s. All the NADHs and FADH2s now can go to the electron transport chain. During the electron transport chain, 34 ATP can be produced. NAD pluses and FADs are also recycled and able to be used again. And finally, oxygen is the final electron acceptor, accepting electrons, forming water. A total of 38 ATP are made in the aerobic pathway.